everyone, welcome to another amazing day at fmtraining.tv where we discuss the wonderful and fantastic FileMaker platform. My name is Margaret. I am here with two wonderful people from LiveCode to continue our LiveCode series, Kevin Miller and Daniel Flockhart. I know David messed me up. And of course, our wonderful senior engineer, Miles Debsky, is here to assist with us. A quick reminder that we stream on 3 platforms. We stream on Discord, we stream on YouTube, and we stream on Twitch. You can join us on any of those. We'd love hearing from you. We'd love talking to you. Please ask us questions. The entire point of us streaming 5 days a week, pretty much every week, is to interact with the community and, have the community be more cohesive, maybe? And also, of course, learn about the fantastic FileMaker platform. So please ask us questions. We do love them. Real quick, our training schedule for next week. Okay, so we have LiveCode again for today, tomorrow, and the day after. Day 9 is going to be customer testimonials as well as covering the future plans for the product. Day 10 will be an open Q&A at the LiveCode, and then Monday and Tuesday are going to be Nick Hunter, and then Wednesday will be a Pause on Error recap conference with Richard and hopefully Calvin. That is our current schedule for the next week, which will be very fun. Real quick, if you decide that you don't like our interactive day-to-day live streams, or you decide that you want like more thorough training, or you just want to support us because we do this for free, feel free to buy our FileMaker annual subscription bundle, which is 100+ hours of very exciting, very dynamic video content. Richard pretty much talks about everything in about 10 to 20 minute chunks. So if you want to learn about server or WebDirect or Pro or pick the subject, we talk about it much more cohesively than our live streams. So feel free to do that. It's great. We greatly appreciate it. Please do that. Real quick, what are we talking? Actually, do you want to do the real quick, speedy recap of what we discussed this week, Miles, before we get engaged?
Sure. Yeah, so if you're just dropping in today and are a little lost like we had someone yesterday, we are talking about LiveCode for FM. We have been all last week, and then this full week we're doing it as well. So I definitely go back, watch those recordings. Day 1 is a great one to watch, which just talks about kind of what it is. We do some licensing, some open Q&A, and I believe days 1 through 5 are available on YouTube. The others will be coming as we get through them. But yeah, we've basically just been walking through, built a FileMaker app. Very simple. You can take a photo, you can record some audio or scan a barcode and upload that. And then we've progressed through compiling for Android, testing, talked about sync, compiling a new version. And then we talked, I think it was just yesterday, it's been a lot of days, about iOS. And compiling for the Apple App Store. And then today we're talking about if you compile for Mac, so kind of like a runtime. So that's kind of the quick high overview, but yeah, check for our recordings that are coming. And I'm not going to take more time. I'll hand it to Kevin. I think he has a little something left over from yesterday and some more to go with that.
Sure. Thanks, Miles. Yeah, let me just share my screen here. So just a wee thing from yesterday. We were talking about iOS, and a question came up last week about the safe area and whether we had a fix for that in the recent build. And Will, who was presenting yesterday, actually worked over a number of days to have that fix available, so that by the time he got to presenting yesterday, he would be able to present that to you all. And we went through the whole session yesterday and completely forgot to show it off. So I don't actually have an iOS device myself. I'm running Android, but I did want to show you a couple of before and after pictures. So this is just the previous build with obviously the notch overlapping the top, and just a redraw issue at the top of the application here. And after Will's fix, we have the notch correctly represented, just the 2 different modes for viewing. So that has been done internally. It is in an internal build. If you're working with us on the partner program, you might already have access to that. Otherwise, it will be in the next build. So there you are. Okay, I want to do just a couple of minutes of introduction to today's webinar before I hand over to Daniel, who's going to go into it in a bit more depth and do the demo for today. Really, for those of you who are joining this series for the first time or just jumping in to the series, maybe you're watching this on a replay for the first time, one of the most popular aspects of what we do with LiveCode for FM is this concept of replacing the runtime. So this is a little bit like the old legacy runtime that used to be in FileMaker, which they have deprecated in recent versions. And we get stories of people who are still using old versions of FileMaker simply because they have to have the ability to do the runtime. So one thing that LiveCode for FM does is it means that you can upgrade to the latest version of FileMaker and use all of the latest features because we have brought back this ability to produce this standalone application. And to recap, for those of you that aren't familiar with this, the benefits of a runtime app are that your customers do not need to install FileMaker. Your app can be distributed in any of the app stores rather than customer having to download a file from you and install FileMaker. You can use the standard app store update mechanisms to push out updates. If you've been following this series diligently all the way through, you will have seen, thank you if you have, you will have seen the different update mechanisms over just the last couple of days. No need to redevelop your app. People often have to leave the FileMaker platform when they need to build a standalone application. You can redeploy your FileMaker solution using the skills that you already have. Unlike the old legacy runtime that FileMaker used to have, the runtime that we've built can connect back to FileMaker Server or FileMaker Cloud. And that means that your clients can fetch data from the server. You can just see it displayed in their app. It means that you can sync data. And we've talked a lot about syncing over the course of the rest of this series as well. We open up the app stores with this, something that's otherwise not possible with FileMaker, with the possible exception of iOS, although they do recommend against trying to do the app store with the iOS SDK. So you can install your app into the app store and your customers can get it from there. But we also offer the option to not connect back to FileMaker. So if your app doesn't connect back to FileMaker, then we consider it to be an offline app. And if the app is offline, then we have a different pricing plan, which is less expensive. And there is even an unlimited option, so you can build a royalty-free app. And remember that offline, in this case, simply refers to apps that don't connect back to FileMaker. They can connect back to any other web service or backend that you want to. It's just if they connect back to FileMaker, then we consider them to be an online app. So with that recap of the benefits of the runtime, I'm going to hand it over to Daniel, who is going to take it from here. Let me just stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, so yes, I think you've covered the runtimes quite well there, but I think really what we want to really get across to people is the runtime is totally separate from LiveCode for FM. So that means you don't need LiveCode for FM. Once you've built your runtime, you can send it to people who haven't installed the application, who won't install the application, who never need to know that LiveCode for FM exists. They don't need to install FileMaker, and it will work. None of our updates will ever break already built runtimes, which I think is quite important as well. Although if we add some new features, you will need to recompile and rebuild your runtime to take advantage of those features. Yeah, so the different runtimes, we've got different runtimes for the Mac environment and Android, iOS, iPad OS, and all of these can be managed in LiveCode for FM. I think I can share my screen to show a little bit now.
We will also have Windows coming soon. I'll talk a bit more about that in the roadmap session
Yes.
tomorrow.
So really, we can look at the deployment options here. So we have our Mac deployment profile, or we can create a new profile for Android. We can create a different profile for iOS. And that means that we can have different settings for these different deployment profiles. So that means here in the slightly more advanced settings, we can have independent version numbers, independent build numbers for your different deployment profiles. So if you want to update your Android app only, you don't need to increment the version number for your Mac app if you've distributed that, or your iOS app. And then, since we're talking about Mac, I'll talk a little bit about the Mac specific ones. There's quite a few here, and it might seem a little bit overwhelming. But really, what we want is we want the Mac app to be your first place that you test out your new app that you've built with LiveCode for FM. And what that means is all of the features which are available on Android and iOS will be available on the Mac desktop version as well. So I know that FileMaker has some FM Go exclusive features. So I think off the top of my head, some of the AV player stuff is exclusive, and things like signing containers, I think is exclusive to FileMaker Go. So with LiveCode for FM, all of that is available on the Mac as well, which is great for testing. So here we've got some of the overrides that you can set for your deployment profile. So first up, we've got the device and system platform overrides. So what these do is you can set this to be, you've created your new app and you have separate profiles for iPads and iPhones because they are different shapes to your desktop here. But you want to check them without having to go and find an iOS device or go and find your Android device and plug it in and sort all that. So what you can do is you can set here, so we'll set it to iPad, and we'll set the system platform to iOS. And what this means is anytime your solution uses the get device or get system platform functions, we'll return iPad and iOS. So when you're going through your solution and you have your iPad layout, which only shows when your device is an iPad, you can test this on your Mac without having to go and plug in any device or find one that you don't have handy. This doesn't mean it's an emulator, so gestures and things like that don't work, but it will pretend like it's an iPad for these functions. So then there's a couple other here. So window orientation, I think, is fairly self-explanatory, but if you want to lock the orientations to left, right, and portrait, you can do that here. We've got some ID and username overrides. I think, let's see, these are for connecting to your server, and the same for the accounts here if you have special permissions set up for your accounts. We've got the sync settings as well, but I think Ali covered that in his sync live stream a few days ago. And then we've got your application icon here. So the application icon is important if you're wanting to submit to the Apple Mac Store. You will need this. If you're not submitting to the Apple Mac Store, you don't have to have one, but it looks nice if you do. So what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll start a new project. We'll start it with regular start this time, and we'll make our app again. So we've got our FileMaker solution here, and we'll just open it up and then put in the username and password, and we'll give it our name as well, and we'll save it in the right place. And then we'll start compiling the project here. You've probably seen this a few times already, but it's good to go over how easy it is to turn your FileMaker solution into a native application, especially for a solution like this where everything just works. Let's see, what else can I talk about while it's busy? I think there's not too much to say about the runtime since they're very self-explanatory. It's taking its time now, it's live.
That's always how it goes. Or it rather feels like time drags on as you're watching it.
You're watching the little circle spin and going, it's a lot slower than I thought it was. Well, let's pretend it's not doing that. And move on to, so I talked about the desktop versus mobile thing a little bit. And our aim for this is that any app that's generated by LiveCode for FileMaker feels the same whether you're using it on desktop, Android, iOS. Oh, here we go. Now it's doing something.
Oh, it's woken up. It's probably because I realized you wanted to read your notes.
It's great because now I can't see my notes. I think what I was saying was, yes, we want all of your apps to feel the same whether you're using it on desktop or mobile. So we're aiming for feature parity across all of those platforms. I think there's a couple of features that only work on mobile at the moment, but they're things like adding a song from your music library. So it's broken. We'll get the app back. Yes, and then there's no desktop only features. So, and then I spoke a little bit about the overrides there. Here we go. We'll compile the solution now. And then hopefully we can get a nice Mac app to show off. So we can test our app just to make sure that everything looks okay. Now, I guess that's because it broke before. Here we go. So we'll do this. Here we go. So we can select our layouts. So we'll just select them all just to make it quick. And then that's fine. And then we won't worry about syncing on this one. Here we go. So now we can test our app to make sure everything looks okay. Here we go, and this looks much better now. So we've got our audio and our barcode and camera, and everything looks great. So now that we've tested our app, we want to build an app bundle so that we can share it with the other testers or clients if everything looks okay. So we'll build our app for distribution. So we want to enter our app ID. So we'll do com.livecode.rcc data. So it's important to know what this is because when we notarize our app, we have to have this. So we will write that down somewhere. And then we will deploy our app. So here we have a nice little app bundle, which we can launch. And it looks great. And this is totally independent of LiveCode for FM and FileMaker. So once this is notarized, you can send it off to all of your clients and not have to worry about them installing other software or anything like that. So before we can send it off, though, we have to sign and notarize the app, which sounds complicated, but actually isn't too bad. So we can close this now, and then we can go.
Is it worth just showing what happens when you try to open an app that's not been notarized?
Yes, so it won't work for me because it's here. So I can send a couple to if you want to share your screen and show what it looks like, I can send
You
some
should
over
just,
to you.
I mean, if you just double click that, surely that's not been, you just built that now and it's
So,
not.
so I think because I
Oh,
built it
right.
on this machine, it won't
Oh, I
complain.
see.
But if you
Okay.
send it to another machine, that's when it starts to complain. So
Okay. Yeah. I mean, all it does is it pops up a dialog saying that the app can't be checked for malicious software.
yeah,
And you can get around that by changing your security settings and then right-clicking the app to open it, but that's obviously not a tremendously professional experience to provide a customer.
yes, I would absolutely notarize the app if you're sending off to customers. So yes, it's important to know this app isn't notarized, and in its current state, you can't submit it to the Mac App Store. We have to do a bit of work. So what I'll do is I'll notarize it to distribute outside of the Mac App Store, because the App Store requirements are quite annoying to do, and we don't have things like an icon or anything like that, which we can add at the moment. So if you remember earlier when I was talking about some of the advanced settings in LiveCode for FileMaker, that's where you would add your icon, that's where you would put in your version number for the App Store and all of that sort of stuff. So we can go here to my instructions on how to. So actually, it's only 6 steps, which isn't too bad, and we can do them all in the terminal. So we have a few prerequisites that we need before we do any of this. So we need our app bundle here. We also need your Apple ID needs to have two-factor authentication enabled, and you need to generate an app-specific password, which is done here. And you also need to be an Apple developer. Once you're an Apple developer, we can get this developer ID application certificate from here. If you want to create an installer for your app as well, you will need this certificate as well, but I won't be doing that since we don't need to for distribution outside of the App Store. So first, we need to make a text file with the entitlements for the app. So the app doesn't generate with any, so these can vary depending on exactly what your app uses, but these ones here work for this app. So I think you might need to add, so this is the camera here, audio input for the barcode scanner and the camera and the audio recorder. I think if you use location services, you might need to add another one. And then if you're submitting to the Mac App Store and your app doesn't use the camera, you must exclude this. And if it doesn't use the audio input, you exclude this one as well. Otherwise, they'll complain. So we can copy this over into our new text document. And then we can save this as entitlements. You have to make sure it's in the right place. So we want this to be in here in our, so you can save this anywhere, but just for ease, I'll have it here. And then we want to make this a plist file. So we can do that by just doing .plist at the end here. And then it will ask you, are you sure you want this to be a plist? So we'll say yes. And then that's a plist now with all of our entitlements in it. So now what we will do is we will open a terminal, since we're doing all of this on the terminal. And we will pop one little out. So here we should see our app and our entitlements plist. So now we can go to these handy commands that I made earlier. So here we want to first code sign our app bundle. So to do this, we'll need a developer certificate here, which you should have installed already. And then we have our application here. So because I opened the terminal in the folder which has our app and our plist in it, I only need to do RCC data collector app. But if you're using your terminal somewhere else, then you would need to put the full path for the file here. The same for your entitlements plist. So we can copy that in. Password. So it will ask for the administrator username and password to access the certificate in the keychain. It's going to ask this quite a few times here because we're code signing a few files inside our app bundle. So if you bear with me while I do this about 10 times, it might be a good time to answer any questions which anyone might have.
Yeah, the first one, can we get a copy of the notarization file?
I'm sure we can provide that somewhere, or we might make a LiveCode lesson about it.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure we'll make that available in some form after.
We do have a question on Twitch.
Okay, go for it.
If a user has a runtime, how do they update the solution? Can they update their runtime with the latest version of the app?
So if you want to update your app, you will need to build a new runtime. So if you're distributing over an app store, like for Android, iOS, or on the Mac App Store, you can do that through the App Store. If you're distributing outside of app stores, you will just need to send your customers a new runtime file and tell them to use that one. It goes on forever, but I swear there is an end.
This is quite a process.
Here we go. So that's us code signed our app now. So that means that it knows that a real Apple developer has made this, and it's not some stranger trying to do anything malicious. So now that we've code signed our app bundle, we need to create a DMG. So we can do that using this command here. So this is what we want our volume, the volume of the DMG to be called. And then this is the location of our app bundle. And then this is what we want our DMG to be called and the location we want it in. So we can copy this in now. And it will work away for a second. And if we look here, now we have a DMG. So this, we can open this. And this has our app in it. And if we launch that, we have our app. And that's great. But we still can't send this yet because we need to code sign the DMG as well. So we can do that here with a very similar command to our first one, except we don't need the entitlements this time. And we use the DMG file here. So we can paste that in. We'll ask for my password one more time.
Might be quite a good idea for us to build this stuff into the tool, actually, so that we don't have to have customers learn to use the command line.
Yes, so I believe that's something we're looking into at the moment. And obviously, if it's something that's important to you, please tell us that it's important to you, and we'll make it a higher priority. If it's something, if you use LiveCode for FM or you want to use LiveCode for FM, tell us what you want, what isn't there, and we will try and make it happen sooner. So here, now we've code signed our GMG, we need to notarize it. So this is where we put our...
What's the difference between code signing and notarizing?
That's a great question, which I don't really know the answer to.
That's right.
I just know you need to do this to send your app to someone else. So I think code signing is I think it's something to do with verifying the code, and then notarizing is sort of like adding your signature.
Right.
I think.
Okay.
So yes, so we can notarize it now. So here we have our app bundle ID, which I told you to write down earlier. And we'll put in this is my Apple ID here. And then this is the app-specific password, which we had to generate at the beginning, and our DMG location here. So we can paste this in here. and it should begin to notarize. So this can take a couple of minutes because it sends the app off to Apple to do some stuff. We will get a request UUID in a second, which we have to keep a record of if we want to check how our notarization is going. So I think the larger your app, the longer this can take, but because we have a fairly small app here, it should be okay. Yes, so here is our request UUID. Write this number down as well here. So let's check how it's doing. So we can use this command here where we put our request ID, our Apple ID again, and the app specific password again. So we can copy that and paste it in again. Copy our request ID and put it in here. And then this will tell us that our notarization is in progress. So when I was doing this morning, it only took a couple of minutes for it to notarize. If you get invalid here, you should get a URL which will give you more information about why it was invalid. I've not had any problems using these commands which I've worked out, but if you have a problem, that will tell you more information about why there is a problem. So let's check and see how we're doing. Still in progress. Hopefully this isn't the time it takes a very long time to do it.
Guaranteed.
Someone asked if you will support plugins in runtime.
Okay, so in terms of the FileMaker plugins, if it's something that runs purely inside FileMaker, so if it's like a script-based or a script step-based plugin, then that will compile to LiveCode for FM. So things like MirrorSync, for example, is purely based on FileMaker scripting, so that will work. Plugins that are outside of that are extensions written in another language that are plugged in are not supported because LiveCode for FM is quite a different environment to FileMaker. However, we do have the ability to add custom features very easily. So if there's something we need, then just let us know. As I said, in the at the very beginning, LiveCode for FM is built on LiveCode, which is our multi-platform development environment, which is a superset of FileMaker, and it contains much richer feature set, as well as access to the OS and the ability to wrap libraries, that kind of thing. So it's pretty easy for us to add custom features if you need them, and in fact, that's something that we've already done for some customers. If there are really popular FileMaker plugins, and we might get to the stage maybe where we can work with some of the plugin vendors to get those in as well. We'll just have to see how things go.
Great. So while that was happening, our package has been approved. So it didn't take too long to do
magic.
this. So what this means is it is now notarized. We can share it. But first, I've been told we should staple it. So we will staple it.
I'll be polite and not ask you what that means.
Thank you. So now that our DMG is stapled, notarized, and signed, it doesn't look any different. I think it's a fraction bigger than it was. We can open it. We can launch our app. And of course, for me, it doesn't look any different. But if we want to deploy this app to our customers or potentially send it to other people in our organization to test, their computers won't complain that who made this app? We don't know what it is. What are you trying to do? It will go, we know who made this app. We can trust it. We will open it. We will install it. We will let it do everything that it wants to do. So it sounds complicated to code sign and notarize, but actually it's only 6 steps. And once you figure them out and get all of your data inputted, it's quite easy to code sign. So this app won't be able to be submitted to the Mac App Store in its current form because there's quite a lot of extra requirements like an app icon and things like that, which we don't have at the moment. If submitting to the App Store is something that's important to you, tell us, and hopefully we can get this notarization inside LiveCode for FM, so you don't need to mess about with the command line here to do it. And hopefully we can get notarization for upload to the Mac Store inside the tool so that you don't need to Google what code signing means before you do any of that. We won't be able to submit the app to the App Store for you. You will still have to do that, but we can get it ready to submit and ready for you to just drag and drop, I think, into however you upload an app to the App Store. I think there's not much else to say about the notarization.
We do have a quick question.
Yes.
How do you open terminal in folder? It's a little bit of an older one, but I think they can
yes.
back there.
So so on Mac, your right click isn't enabled by default. So you have to enable that. And then you just right click, and then here we go, new terminal folder, like that. And then we have our new terminal, which is in our folder, RCC data collector. Or if you don't have your right click turned on, you can just open your terminal and then navigate to wherever your folder is. But I find it a lot easier to just open the terminal here, especially if you have it hidden away in your workspace somewhere and you don't want to dive down 15 folders to find your app icon.
Daniel, what version of iOS are you using?
So I'm using Big Sur. I think there's a new
Okay.
update which I haven't installed, but yes. So I'm on
Okay, that's cool.
the new thing.
Yeah, I don't think I have that many option in my version, but I'm using Catalina.
Nice. Well, your mileage may vary on your right-click options, but
That was cool.
have we got any more questions to answer?
So if someone did want to submit to the Mac Store, is there like any lessons on that, or that's something?
So I think we have an older lesson here about submitting to the Mac App Store, but I can't say for the accuracy of it, as I haven't tried, but it is a lot more, there's a lot more steps. So you need to set version numbers, you need to really look at your entitlements to see which ones you need and which ones you don't need. You need to make sure you have an icon and encryption and this sort of thing. So it's a lot more involved to submit your app to the App Store. And I think really you're only submitting your app to the App Store if your customers are the general public, I suppose. If you have a group of customers that you know, it's much easier just to follow these 6 steps and then email your app or upload it to your website or whatever you're doing, however you're distributing your app, than it is to upload it to the Mac App Store. Yes, as you can see, it's a lot more involved to the App Store stuff. I'm sure we can provide links to this lesson, and
Yeah, you can find it on our website as well, and I'm sure we can provide that file of command line instructions.
Yes, we've got a lesson on notarizing the DMG as well. You don't need to do. There's a few steps that you can skip for apps that are generated by LiveCode for FM, but this will also get you through as well.
Thought is, I know you were talking before about like the goal is to have a similar experience across all the different platforms, and some things, like especially with FileMaker, you said that some things that are in Go, like you can have access to if you do this compile for Mac. One thing I thought of that I was curious about, is there a way to access your Mac's camera?
So with our app here, I believe we can just actually we can open our one that we notarized here just to show it off a bit. And then because we use the camera here, we can go for a new entry, and I believe we can add an image. I think sometimes it will use the Mac camera, but possibly Slack is stopping that at the moment. But I believe
I'm sure it does use. I've used it.
I'm sure it did before, so it's possibly just because Slack is stealing the camera. But it should. Oh, there we go. That'll be it. Here we go. We can take a nice picture of me. And then it works just like it would on your phone.
Nice.
So we can record audio as well. We can take a barcode as well. Yeah, so we want everything that works on your phone to work on your Mac. We want everything that works on your Mac to work on your phone, so that everyone can have the same experience. So you can test all of your features on your Mac without having to go and rummage around in a drawer and find that old Android device that you swear was here but doesn't seem to be here at the moment. Yeah.
All that jazz. We do have a couple questions on YouTube. One from Flint Higginbotham. I mispronounced your name. I'm very sorry. I am late to the game. A question I have is, are there agreements with Claris that this sort of runtime will not be stopped or discontinued by them?
Well, I mean, we're an independent company from Claris, completely separate to them, and I mean, there's no reason that there should be no reason for Claris to stop what we're doing. We spent quite a lot of time talking to them about this, and I mean, they even announced us a few months ago as their official partner for Android. They're obviously fully aware of what we're doing. So no reason to have any cause for concern there.
Okay, so there you go, Flint. I know you were trying to avoid it earlier, but someone was asking about stapling or talking about stapling. So.
Yes, I was told that it's something you should do, so I did it. I think if I remember what they said, what it means is it transfers the notarization you did for the DMG to the app bundle inside the DMG, so you don't need to do it for the app bundle as well. I think that's what it does, but
Quote you on it?
Yes, Google it for yourself and tell me what it means.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. I know personally I've had people ask for runtime in the last 2 years, and I think Kevin addressed it at the beginning. Like some people, that's because of the cost or whatever it is, that's kind of what they've been relying on. And with that gone, like I have an answer now, so I'm excited.
We do have one quick question from Discord. Can you estimate what percentage of your customers are using the Mac runtime?
I don't have that information at the moment, but it's a bigger proportion than we thought when we first started. We've had a lot of interest in it, but I'm afraid I don't have anything more specific than that.
Yes, it was quite the kerfluffle when it was initially discontinued. So, okay. Other than that, then I think if anyone has any last minute questions, I'm good with ending a bit early. I'm gonna like wait awkwardly for a minute because stream delay and all that wonderful jazz. Make sure nothing last minute is going to sidle in. But otherwise, thank you very much. This has been very interesting.
Great.
Yeah, and if anyone has any follow-up questions once you try to go to sleep tonight, our last day on Friday will be like an open Q&A. So come ready with those.
Yes. We do appreciate the question collection. Of course, 3 people are not typing in Discord, so I'm just going to let that go real quick. Okay, so thank you. Excellent. So in that case, we are free. Thank you both very much. I greatly appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else does too. We've gotten a lot of good feedback about the series, so thank you again. So you both have a lovely evening, and everyone else have a great day or morning, depending on where you are. We will catch you later.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected. The quarterback, great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snaps a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.